130,000 dead, and something that's going to cost $5 billion a day. That's big numbers. Now, what do they have to do with each other? Well, they have a little to do with each other, but more than that, there are stories that no one's talking about. And it shows the failure of this administration. And we're going to talk about those today. We're also going to talk about a few more stories that says, you know what? We better get the people that are Americans out of Lebanon because we're having major issues there. Again, another failure by an administration that's in power right now. Today, let's jump into these stories because they all impact us in different ways. What does 130,000 death have to do with $5 billion a day in money? It'll blow your mind. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the video. Comment, tell us. And if you like it, share it. It means the world to us, and we humbly ask thumbs up. Now, I say that every time we start a video, and the reason I want to bring that up, though, is it is the 28th. We're going to be doing a giveaway in just a few days for a lot of different things that deal with survival, deals with good needs. We're going to talk about a story about October 1st, how important it is, and what that date means for us. So please, we want to be able to give you something. So it takes you subscribing, thumbs up, commenting, and then that way you'll be entered into the giveaway. Now, enough about that. Let's jump into the headlines for the day. All right, before we get into October 1st and dealing with $5 billion a day, let's talk about another story. 130,000 dead. Now, this is one state. Since 2023, North Carolina has purged 750,000, 750,000 people that should not have been on the voter rolls. Remember, most elections are decided from about 30 to 50,000 people between a few different counties across the United States. So in this situation in North Carolina, which is a battleground state, it seems like the battleground states are always the ones that have these issues. Have you ever recognized that? 130,000 dead people have been taken off the voter rolls since 2023. It shows they should have never been able to vote, but for some reason they've been voting. 290,000 duplicates. Almost 500,000 just between the dead and the duplicates, not counting other ineligibilities. So 750,000 just in North Carolina. Wisconsin did the same thing. Arizona did the same thing. Now, that's good that they're cleaning these rolls up, but what it shows is how frivolous is our election integrity when we can't even clean up our own voter rolls until after an election's done. It's very, very sad. So I hope to see more states doing this. It's going to take men with backbone, politicians with backbone, willing to stand against a machine that will throw them under a bus if they're not careful. So this is a big deal. I want us to pay attention to this. Voter rolls are going to cause the biggest issue for 2024, either because they're duplication, either because they're harvested, or it's either because there is some frivolous laws that's allowing people who shouldn't be eligible to vote that our liberal states are given rights to, and also the fact that 130,000 dead people were voting. That's a big number. So the question is, how many other states are like that, and how safe is our elections if that's the case? Something to think about. Now let's get into October 1st. Now I brought this story up to you just a few weeks ago about the dock workers. Well, there's a Canadian rail strike that's kind of going along with it, and it all deals with unions. Now, there's a dock worker strike that's going to happen October 1st, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because you need to be aware of what it is going to do and how it's going to affect you. I told you it's going to bring shortages or at least more expense to you based on you buying goods. Again, all these have to do with what? An administration that's not being a leader. They actually came out in this article and they said that they're not going to touch it. They just urged both sides to negotiate because the Democrats need the union votes. In a good way, they're losing a lot of that vote to Trump. Trump's pulling a lot of the union votes. But here's the thing. Because there's bad leadership with Transportation Secretary and also with Biden and with Harris, we're getting these kind of issues. Now, before we talk about October 1st and this here, another issue, Lebanon. The Lebanon embassies for UK and US, they're urging people, please get out of Lebanon because of the escalation with the terror groups and also Israel. So we're doing terrible jobs of trying to get people out, just like we did when it comes to Israel and when it comes to Gaza and even Afghanistan. There's Americans all over in the Middle East that we didn't get out because, again, bad timing and bad leadership. We look weak. And now here we are, we're actually going to leave another set of Americans to fight out battles in the Lebanon situation because we have an inept government that's not doing anything about it. So the embassies and the people of Lebanon are saying, please get out while you can because you're not safe here anymore. This escalation is going to take the next step. And it did today and yesterday. Israel started doing some bombings in other areas. There was more terror attacks coming from other areas. We are now seeing a very, 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 very serious situation in the Middle East. It's always the Middle East, I know, but it seems like it's getting a lot worse. And you're going to, again, see a gang mentality where they're all going to raise up against Israel. And the question is, can they hold them off? And what is Americans' role in this? The Dems are scared. They're actually in a little bit of a panic because they really don't know how to fight this battle because most of their base would support Israel. Most of the new Dems will not. So I think they're trying to play both sides. And that's kind of what they're doing on this October 1st thing. They want to stand with unions at the same time. They don't want to see a massive shutdown because here's what it affects. I want to kind of go through this. It said that if this strike goes through on October 1st, that of these 25,000 in one group and a few more in other groups, that it will cost $5 billion a day. $5 billion a day on the port strikes. Meaning the goods not coming in, the goods that are costing, the goods that are coming in shortage. The fact of these goods and this problem will be $5 billion a day. Now it says some 25,000 dock workers in East Coast and Gulf Coast, now this goes all the way, like I told you, from Maine all the way to Texas, will plan to strike as October 1st arrives. Now, they will come to negotiation most likely, but here's what it affects. I want you to kind of listen to this. It says more than 170 industrial groups from the National Association of Manufacturers and the U.S. Dairy Export Council and the Fashion and Jewelry Trade all are saying they're going to strike. It says they have urged the Biden administration to intervene, warning the strike would be devastating on our economy. And this is where Biden wants to play both sides. He wants to say, well, we stand with you, but he knows those negotiations need to happen because he does not need a failed situation when it comes to the economy. It's already pretty much failing now. And if all of a sudden a strike happens and it's $5 billion a day of loss, I don't know if the American people can stand with that. It says two major striking points are wages and automation. On wages, neither side has made demands for the public offer. Now listen to this, and this is where I always tell you, if we could fix our economy, then we could fix our wage problem and also our union problems. Because here's the statement. It says, a statement from the union president suggests that the union may be seeking $5 an hour increase in each of the years of the 6-year contract agreement, raising the top hourly wages from $39 to $69. So a $30 increase basically over their agreement by the end of the contract. Wage increase under this contract signed in 2018 was the far modest of only $1 an hour increase over the 4 to 6 years. That contract, which expires Monday, expanded into where the unions believe they're worth more. Now listen to this. This is why I struggle with unions. I know there's parts of them that do good things, but I think they could almost hurt our economy too. It says the U.S. Maritime Alliance says that current offer includes industrial leading wage increase. West Coast dock workers got 32%. 32%. Have you got a 32% raise? Unbelievable. In their contract negotiations last year. So now what they're saying with the East Coasters are saying, we do a lot of work, so therefore we want the same style increases. We want to be appreciated like the other side. Do you realize when you see 20 and 30 and 40% increases in wages, not only have you saw 20 and 30 and 40% increases in the effect of your grocery bills, your other goods, Now it's going to go up even more, because guess where they have passed that down to? It didn't go to the bottom line of the businesses, these multi-million and multi-billion dollar businesses. It goes to the consumer. So the unions are actually going to really hurt us more than they're actually helping us. Now, you can disagree with that, but the truth be told is, when you see someone get a 30% increase in their salary, that's a pretty big deal. It's kind of like the inflation costing 30% more too. It's just crazy. A lot of stuff flows through the Eastern Gulf ports. Listen to this. This is how this will affect you, and this is why I think you need to buy a few things. I'm going to go over in just a second. Everything from agricultural products, of course, food, and the goods that we need to sustain life, and pharmaceuticals, which is another big one, which I'm going to talk about, to heavy machinery, to clothes, shoes, and toys. You're coming up on the Christmas season, people. Those ports account for more than half of the containers that arrive with the National Association of Manufacturers, meaning the union that brings in this containers, half of the containers that are coming in, importing into America, go through these ports that are wanting to strike. So this would make a monster problem. It says, we certainly hope we won't empty the shelves, but if it takes this, this is what we will do. Stoppage. That's a big, big deal. Now, a few things you should purchase. Pharmaceuticals. Go talk to Emergency Medicine Pharmaceuticals, Jace Medical. I mean, there's others. Gosh, look them up. But do you realize how serious this is if your medicine cannot be gotten, and also your antibiotics cannot be gotten? That is a huge thing. That is a huge thing. Did you see the dollar fell this week? So that means gold is skyrocketing. Skyrocketing. You need to pick up some gold to protect your assets. That has nothing to do with the strike. That just has to do with good policy. So we have pharmaceuticals, we have gold. Food. Do you realize how much food we import? It's sad, because America has enough food resources to be sustainable, especially if we get back to understanding how to make people be appreciative of where they get their food and not waste as much and not buy all this trash food from town, and start thinking about getting better quality food. America could do that, but no, we want to import a lot of this food, and you think it's on containers, it's coming over here. It's probably not good for us because it's coming in on these ships. You just never really know what quality food you're actually getting, but this is a big deal. So have you thought about going to your local grocer and start buying some food and making sure you have some put up? Buy some dry goods. Here's some things. Protein powder, a very good one. Organic protein powder made in America from grass-fed beef. Great. Game changer. Buy some stockpiled tuna and some stockpiled chicken. Things that you can get in a can that you can stack on a shelf that's pretty economical right now. But that's one of those things that does come over from overseas. Meat is a big deal. Now they'll say it's born and raised in America, or we butcher in America, manufacture in America. All that is a little sleight of hand. They all have to spend a certain amount of time here to be considered in America. Most of it's from overseas. So pick up some meat. Meat is a very good purchase right now, and learn how to put it up, not just in freezers, but learn how to stockpile it and put it on the shelf for shelf stableness. If you're going to buy it in a can, great. If you learn to can, you have taken it up a notch, and that's a great thing to do. So that would be a good one to do. Clothing, goods. Have you bought your extra winter wear right now? I think of like, for me, I'm a farmer, so I have to make sure I have the things that I need. If all of a sudden clothing goes up 30 or 40% when winter gear is already high, are we ready for that? So have you stockpiled on some of those things before you get to this October 1st? Now, you may not feel it October 1st, but you may feel it over the next coming months or weeks if they do not resolve this. Now, like I said, they probably will resolve it. But if they resolve it, someone's getting a 30% raise, that's going to cost you still more at the grocery store and more when you go shopping. Remember, even though it's consumer driven and people say, oh, we don't try to buy a lot for Christmas, people always give gifts or get gifts for Christmas. This will be impacted. So not that I'm saying go splurge and buy craziness, but there may be some things you need to pick up that are a necessity, such as goods, that would be wise to get probably before next week. If not, pay attention to when the strike happens. You're going to start seeing those goods inflate. Or if the strike doesn't happen, those wages go up, you're going to see prices increase. So either way, you need to start purchasing. October 1st is just literally right around the next few days, not even a week away. Don't be crazy. Start buying some of these things. And lastly, I would say buy some agricultural products, food. Not just meats, not just goods, but some grains. some things that you can put up for long-term storage. We import a lot of things. I think of whole grains and artisan grains. We buy a lot of that. A lot of that comes from overseas, people. So you need to learn to buy some of those things and put it up for safety. So that's 5 things that I would purchase pretty quickly so that way you have them. Now, this is a big deal because it affects your wallet. It affects Main Street economics. You need to pick up some of those things. Now, again, the White House is saying they're encouraging negotiations, but they're going to try to keep it at a minimal because they don't want to mess up either side, the union side or the fact of big business. They're trying to cater to both, which is politics. I understand that. But if you had a stronger leader, they may have could step in and handle this before it gets any worse. So a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on. But it all comes back down to maybe we have a vacationer in chief instead of a true executive in chief. Maybe we have a VP who is willing to go roll with the punches, but also just kind of go where the waves take her and try to cater to everyone instead of actually being a leader. That's what we have now, and that's what's happening with the situation with our embassies needing people to leave. I mean, they're begging people to leave. The fact that we have voter rolls that are not being cleaned up in the integrity of our election. Also the fact that we have a dock strike that could cause a catastrophic economy blow. That's a big deal. And then the fact that there's literally wars and rumors of war that's going to get worse based on all that's going on. But then you need to kind of realize October 1st is real close. And we don't need to let it slip away with us not getting prepared and getting the things that we need. Remember, the strategic oil reserve is not being replaced at all. Even though they're saying they're going to replace it, it's still at an all-time low. It's like a 45-year low or so. So when you talk about my list, that's just one little thing, 5 things. Think about gas, think about propane, think about other things that you can utilize and you can buy that could benefit you because ultimately it's going up one way or the other. Through the strike or through the fact of the increases that the unions are getting for their people. Pay attention to those things. Guys, thank you for watching. A lot's going to take place. We have major wars going across the world, and America has got to show strength in peace, strength in the situations and in negotiations. We're not doing that right now. What we've done is we just keep selling arms or giving arms away for them to then turn around and build new ones, and pretty much it's a situation where America is paying for all this stuff that we may not need because we're willing to give it lackadaisically to some other countries to really bring in more war. It's dangerous. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this video. And more than anything, I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember to subscribe to the channel. God bless.